I'm just moving through these really quickly. So just again, taking what we talked about earlier, the Venus-Jupiter archetype in Cancer, placing it in each house. Here we're seeing it in the 11th house. Right up here, this is for Virgo Rising. So if you're a Virgo Rising, Venus and Jupiter in Cancer land in your 11th house of friends, community, social circles, and really this is any kind of subject or topic of thing, any material goods or any relationships that we have that support our public life and our reputation, because the 11th house is the succeedent house to the 10th house of career and public life. So we can think of anything in this sphere being relative to our friends. If you're a Virgo rising, you might think of how this is, impacting your audiences. If you're a creator or a performer, how this might be impacting your audiences. You could have some of the greatest shows of your life. If you're a stand-up comedian, this might be the time. Jove is the planet of people being jovial, right? Of having a good time. So, let's say you're a Virgo rising and you're a stand-up comedian, maybe you have the best show of your life on this conjunction. Who knows? So this is anything that's really dealing with our friends. If you're a Virgo rising, you could start thinking, you could feeling an abundance of friendships, an abundance of relationships in that kind of friend zone, right? The people that support us in our daily life. Our comrades at work fall into this place, and we might find love affair there. We might find, Venus is the planet of passion, and we might find, a significant love interest in our friend groups or something like that. Okay, next up we have Libra rising, which is placing this configuration in our 10th house. The 10th house, as we mentioned, is the house of public life, our career. This is where our most visible selves are seen, and it's not necessarily who we are in our identity, but it's how we're seen in the world. This can be in our job. This can be, for performers or content creators, it can be how our reputation is, and it's just any way that we're seen in like the public market arena, and so with Jupiter and Venus here, if you're a Libra rising, this might be an expression of, some really great things coming to you in your job. It might be a situation where you end up having a love affair with your boss. That could be something that happens here, or a subordinate at work. Or it could just be simply that you're able to finally bring cohesion to the team that you've been working on building at your job for quite some time. Maybe you're bringing that team cohesion where everybody starts to see each other as people that have feelings and need to be nurtured and sustained. And through that nurturing and sustaining of the team members, we're able to create something bigger than ourselves and bigger than the organization that we're working for. So this is kind of like a very work-oriented kind of view of that. But there's, this abundance and passion within the public workspace. I mean, just think about how that might manifest. Next, we have the Scorpio rising, and we can see that with Scorpio rising, we land Jupiter and Venus in Cancer in the 9th house. This is the house of higher education, philosophy, spirituality, foreign lands and travels. This is really where we think about pilgrimage, where we go into the depths of our heart in an attempt to go out to the outer edges of the ineffable, the things that we think about and reflect on that really don't have any answers, but by reflecting on them, they seem to make our life richer somehow. Think about colleges and higher learning and philosophy. So Jupiter is naturally the sage in this house. Jupiter is naturally the teacher in the 9th house. And Venus, we can see as the student, right? So we have the teacher-student dynamic going on here, and we could see some really amazing things come out of your schoolwork. If you're in school, this could be, if you're an author of philosophy, this could be a time for really gelling and coming together with some deep theories about life, the universe, and everything. This could also be a time for Scorpio risings to head overseas, go take a trip to another country, or take a class, sign up for a night class or audit something at your local community college or university. These are the kinds of things that we can think of that might be coming into play for our Scorpio rising friends. Next up, we have the 8th house. This is going to be relevant for all of us Sag risings. I myself am a Sag rising, and so this is relevant for me as well as everybody else there with Sag rising. Cancer falls in the 8th house, and Jupiter and Venus in this place. This is a place of deep integration work. I mean, I think of this place even more than the 12th house. This is the place of like psychedelic integration can be themed here, or any kind of work where we're incorporating experiences that are beyond us, experiences of the other, where we might have been traumatized in our lives. How do we integrate those kinds of things? So this is an integration house. Some of the classic topics are death, the inheritance from others, our spouse's property, and things like this. So whether we're thinking along the lines of any of the classic topics of inheritance, property of others, the things that support our spouses and partners, or whether we're thinking a little bit more modern in the sense of integration work, this is a deep house and a time for Sag risings to really reflect on how to pull into our lives the wisdom that we receive from things that we can't quite control, and that somehow come to us without any kind of manipulation on our part. They just kind of like come to us. Or we can also be thinking about this as the debts that we might owe to others, and this could be a time where those debts become settled, so this is a time for those kinds of topics here for our Sag rising friends.